Good morning. Another beautiful, magical sunrise morning. Looking at the sun peek over the mountains out here in El Paso still. And just did my Divine Kings Council meeting with a group of other powerful men. It was really great today. Did our regular routine, breath work, some exercise, some gratitude, and sharing. And one of the big reasons for this group is that men have a safe place to talk to other men who do the work. We're doing this personal development work, who know about regulated nervous systems and are working on themselves, because you need counsel from other kings. You need counsel from other men who can give you advice because they've been through things and they're going through the work, not getting advice from men who are not healed, who are not doing the work, because they can give you absolutely nothing but terrible advice. In most cases, right? Everyone has something of value to share, and I believe that even the homeless man on the side of the corner, he has knowledge and things that are worth listening to. But when it comes to the path that you're on here, as men, speaking to the men right now, there are women who are on the path too. You want to go and turn towards people who are doing the work, because they can support you better. Anyway, I said that to say this. One of the men had something come up yesterday. I'm not going to talk about it, but it was beautiful because we were all there for him. We could listen, we could witness him, we could offer reflections if he was open to it, and we held space for him. And it's so valuable, so needed today, because as men we're told to bottle things up and hold it in and just deal with it, be a man, don't cry, all that bullshit. That is not true. But it's so valuable to have other men to work with and speak with and share with and be in community with and brotherhood. So I'm just taking the moment here to be really grateful that I decided to answer that calling and start the group, and found these other men who are really powerful men in their own right individually. And so together we are, with our powers combined, we are Captain Divine Masculine. That's gay. Anyway, so today's message, I did a class yesterday. I'm in something called the Artist Power Collective. And man, talk about community, talk about support, talk about leveling up. We have 5 calls a week. They're at different times with different coaches. And they are coaches from the mastermind that I did that changed my life. That was started by Garen Jones. And last night's call was one of my coaches, Kevin Crenshaw. He goes by the Heart Guy on Instagram. What a divine, masculine, powerful leader that man is. And we talked about fear. We got really vulnerable, all of us. It was men and women together on the call. We got really vulnerable about fear and what we're really scared of and the things that we fear. And it was so amazing to have a group of people who were so open and so vulnerable and so willing to share what they were scared of, what they were fearful of. And then the reflections and the tool specifically that Kevin gave us, and I'm going to teach you guys the tool today as a way of learning deeper, right? Because for me, it's one thing to hear something and learn it. I learn things to teach them because that helps me to master it. Not that I want to be this, I know I'm called to be a teacher, leader, instructor, coach, those kind of things, but I'm doing it for self-mastery, because if I can teach it to someone, it means I truly understand it. And so I'm going to go through that. But I'm going to first get vulnerable and tell you one of my fears, okay? And what I shared on the call yesterday, and my realization was that since the crypto crash last year, I was doing really well. I was running a Web3 agency set to make more money than I've ever made in my life. And at the very end of December, ramping up, getting ready to launch a bunch of projects, things took a turn, and the markets collapsed, and every project that I was working with also collapsed because they were so dependent heavily on the crypto markets, right? As Web3 brands. And so the money dried up overnight almost. And so I went from the prospect and the possibilities of making more than 6 figures in 1 month to nothing. And that started a pattern for me. And so my fear, well, the pattern is that I get right until the deal. I get right up into the place of what I want. You know, this thing that I want, this thing that I'm desiring, this thing that I'm working towards. I get right up to the finish line. And then for some reason, I'm forced to wait, or it evaporates before my eyes. It disappears. And this has happened over and over and over again over the last year. Since December, it's happened in financial situations. It's even happened in relationships, right? It's even happened, you know, in meeting people that I'm like, wow, this person would be ideal. And at the very, you know, right there, it's right in front of me, it doesn't materialize, or it evaporates, or I'm forced to wait. And so my fear was that this pattern would not stop, this pattern would not end, and I'm scared of that pattern repeating and never getting the things that I desire. And in listening to the other people talk about their fears and listening to Kevin and what he was sharing, it hit me. I realized that that wasn't my fear. My true fear, what was underlying, right, that fear, was that I feel there's a part of me, right? There's still a part of me that feels like I'm not enough for the things that I want, for the things that I desire. And so that's the core of my fear, is that I'm scared that I'm not enough for the things that I desire. And therefore I'm holding them away from me in some way energetically, or something that I'm doing is keeping them from me because I don't feel like I'm enough. And the I am not enough story is one that I think a majority of people either wrestle with, it's beating their ass right now, or they've dealt with it in their life and they've overcome it. I don't think any human on this planet was born and went through their life without having that feeling of I am not enough. But that feeling of being and feeling I am not enough is such an isolating feeling. You feel so alone. You feel there's shame. There's all this guilt. There's all these feelings about, wow, why am I not enough, right? I showed up to my relationship. I showed up to my last relationship with all of me. I did everything in my power. I was the best partner that I could possibly be. I gave it all, and it wasn't enough, right? That's a story that I heard on the call yesterday. That's a story that I've lived myself, not just in my last relationship, but in multiple relationships where I would give my all, right? I'm almost always the best partner that most people have in their life, and I can say that confidently, because I fucking show up, and I really do show up. But when it doesn't work out, when they, you know, betray me or something happens, I tend to have that thought in the back of my head. It's like, oh man, it wasn't enough. But that's not true. It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. But anyway, that's not what I'm here to discuss. I want to share with you guys the lesson, the tool that will help you with your fear, right? And something else that Kevin shared is like the fear of the fear is bigger than the fear itself, right? He also shared that the shame that you feel for feeling that fear is bigger than the fear itself. And that one was big, right? Because we tell ourselves like, wow, why am I so scared? Oh, quit being a little bitch, or whatever you tell yourself. Like, you feel shame for being scared of that thing, and you don't want to say it. You don't want to tell people. You don't want to admit it sometimes. And so there are different steps, right? So the tool, I'm going to give you the shortcut here. The tool that he gave us was to see this fear, whatever the fear is. Let's say it's I am not enough, right? See this fear embodied in another person, in a person, right? So it could be a little child, who feels like they're not enough. Maybe they're curled in a corner. Like imagine this, right? They're in a corner, they're like turned away, they got their head down, they're giving off this embodiment of I am not enough, right? It could be a child who is like trying to get people's attention and no one's paying attention to them, right? It could be a number of things, whatever you think would embody that that fear, right? And so imagine that this person is not you, right? So remove yourself from that fear and imagine that this person is not you. How would you treat this person? Can you show this person who's in that embodied fear, right? Can you show them compassion, right? Can you feel for them? Can you accept and acknowledge the fear that they feel, but also give them compassion, right? And so you're working through this in your mind. Maybe you have your eyes closed. Maybe you're just sitting there imagining this. And then you have to allow yourself to feel it fully. Allow yourself to feel that fear without the story. Sit with it. Ask questions of it. Be curious, right? And show compassion to this fear. And what happens is that the fear, it starts to lose its charge. It starts to dissipate over time as you do this. And just realizing that there's nothing wrong with being scared. The problem that we have is pretending to not be scared, right? It's okay to be scared of things. Everybody feels scared of things. Humans feel fear mostly, almost on a daily basis of something, right? We're all scared of something. There's nothing wrong with being scared. What's wrong is pretending like we're not scared and not allowing what that's scared, what's underneath it. We're not giving compassion. We're not accepting it. We're not dancing with it, in other words, right? So Kevin said something else that I'll end this with, is that the fear is never going to go away. You only learn to dance with it courageously, right? It takes courage to act in spite of fear. It's to feel the fear and do it anyway. And when you give yourself compassion for feeling that fear and why you feel that fear, right? There's a reason you feel that fear. The things that you've been through in your life have probably conditioned you to feel that fear. And so it's okay. And when you accept it, you can learn to act despite your fear and dance with it. It's always going to be there, but you just maneuver and move around it and through it and let it be there with you. And over time, I know this to be true because when I've kind of worked with my own fears when I was in Puerto Rico, and I working through overcoming my fear of the deep ocean, and I started going into the ocean and feeling that terror and that terrified feeling and panicking, but still doing it anyway. And I learned to maneuver, and I could feel that dance because the ocean reminds me of dancing, right? The ocean, you don't fight the ocean, you go with the ocean, you work with the ocean, you work with the movements of the ocean. And so that message resonates with me. It's learn to dance courageously with your fear. And so this was really powerful. This exercise was, an epiphany for me. I really realized, like, wow, if I can apply this, if I can do this, I can really work through some of my really hardcore fears. And I don't have so many, but the ones that I do feel they hold me back, right? I have a fear of expressing myself, being seen. I know I need to speak on stages. I need to do public speaking. I need to do a TED Talk. There's so many things that I've been scared to do, that I've been avoiding stepping into. And so this is going to be a really great tool for me. And I wanted to share it with all of you. Number one, to master it myself, but also number two, to share it and to help anybody who might be listening. And with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you have a beautiful day today. Blessings and big love.